Do you want to learn how to play Minesweeper? Or perhaps you already know how and want to start speedrunning this magnificent game? You've clicked on this video titled, "How the heck do you speedrun Minesweeper?" So I'll get right to the point. This video aims to do two things. Get some wind to your back if you're interested in speedrunning the game, and reflect on my experiences speedrunning it for the past half year or so. I'm not the best Minesweeper player, but I can post some respectable times and have a good understanding of the basics. We're going to start at the bottom, discussing the basics of the game and build up to how to dismantle a complex web of mines in under 2 minutes. But there's no time to waste. Enjoy the show. Part 1. Beginner. It's important to note that if you are playing Minesweeper, you are speedrunning it, because the time it takes you to beat the game is the score the game automatically keeps track of. Minesweeper comes from that era where many PC games, especially those that came with a computer, borrowed from arcade principles in their design. Whether it was 3D pinball or solitaire, these games often have some kind of arbitrary scoring system and high score list for its users to pursue, to keep them hooked and enhance replayability. Minesweeper is no different, and its scoring system of a clock makes it a kind of proto-speedrunning game. So, to play Minesweeper is to speedrun it, and in this section, I'm going to briefly go over the basic rules of Minesweeper and the mechanics you need to be familiar with to get started. The goal of Minesweeper is to discover or click on every tile on the grid that does not contain a mine, while avoiding every tile that does. Aiding you on this quest are the numbers within revealed squares, which correspond to how many mines are in the surrounding area. Left-clicking on a tile will reveal it, and right-clicking on a tile will mark it as a mine. From these simple rules, the game cascades into complexity, with the interlocking grid in front of the player combining into countless configurations. There are 3 basic modes of Minesweeper: Beginner, which is a 9x9 grid with 10 mines, Intermediate, which is a 16x16 grid with 40 mines, and Expert, which is a 16x30 grid with 99 hidden mines, lurking, waiting to be tripped. Since left-clicking any mine will end a run, Minesweeper is simultaneously a game about precision and speed, the tension between them. Any shortcut, in particular any guess, is a risk which could literally blow up in the player's face. But, of course, if you want a great time, you're going to have to dance on this minefield with alacrity and grace. There is one mechanic that some do not know of, but is probably the most important tool for the player: chords. A chord is an action done by left and right clicking at the same time, or middle clicking. It reveals all spaces around a numbered tile, provided that the mines around that number have been marked. Note, the mines do not have to be marked correctly for a chord to go off, so you can still die doing it. But in essence, chords allow the player to click on multiple tiles at once. Chords are incredibly useful, and I would wager that in my play sessions, at least 80% of revealed spaces are revealed with them. So, as you learn the game, your first goal is to get used to using these chords to succeed. The beginner must internalize that they can't memorize Minesweeper. Instead, they need to learn the fundamentals and processes that go into a successful game and continue to improve their efficiency in applying them. Mouse dexterity is certainly helpful, but more important is the player's ability to mentally read the board in front of them and identify their next move. There are no breaks for the Minesweeper speedrunner. Their actions continually reveal more of the map, and every act of uncovering yields more questions to answer. Likewise, there are no shortcuts to success, no cheat codes or glitches to exploit. Like I said, to speedrun Minesweeper is to play Minesweeper, and to play Minesweeper well, one must grow familiar with the fundamentals, make them automatic, hone their skills. Each time you start a new game, you'll be faced with a new board you've never seen, armed only with the knowledge you've already attained, ready to react to each unique situation with the intuition of a predator closing in on their prey. Part 2. Intermediate. Once you've internalized Minesweeper's basic rules, you'll start to see your skills improving at a somewhat even pace. pattern recognition becomes incredibly important at this point. See a 1 on a corner? Mark that mine. A 3 on a wall? That's 3. There are dozens of patterns to learn, and while I'm not going to exhaustively try to reveal every one to you, here are some I can name off the top of my head. If you see 1, 2, 1 on a wall, that means the 2 outside slots are both mines. 1, 2, 2, 1, it means both inside slots are mines. A 2 that slides off an edge means both are mines. A 5 in a corner means they're all mines. You could go on and on and on with all the different shapes and patterns one finds on the minefield, but suffice to say, there are a lot. These represent a continuity between each round that the player plays. Yes, every game has a new set of mines, but the ways they recognize those mines is a reflection of their growth and understanding of the game. Interestingly, pattern recognition is typically one of the ways that intelligence is measured. Learning to play Minesweeper emulates taking a general intelligence test. The player, in theory, internalizes patterns with every movement, and we might be able to gauge their pattern recognition skills with how quickly they pick up on the patterns of the minefield. That said, to be good at Minesweeper has little to do with intelligence, just like how IQ tests have little to do with intelligence either. Instead, I bring this up to show that patterns are important for our understanding of ourselves and are reflected in the games we play. More importantly for speedrunning, how we play them. The intermediate player must spend their time growing accustomed to these patterns, because the faster they recognize them, the faster they can play the game. There are also more technical skills to pick up, an important one being the slide or right-click drag. Typically, when you mark a mine, you are preparing to do a chord. If you hold right-click, then you can do this chord by just left-clicking on your prepared squares. It is of paramount importance that each one is as efficient as possible. That said, one of my favorite techniques is shotgunning, or marking some mines and then chording about a half dozen times everywhere around the mines you just marked to reveal a ton of spaces at once. Remember, you can't fail on a chord as long as the mines are correctly placed. And if you chord a space where you have not marked enough mines, like chording a 3 when you've only marked 2 mines near it, the chord won't go through. On that note, once you get used to the various patterns of the game, you'll start to preemptively prepare to chord in certain situations, effectively guessing that when your current chord resolves, that this hitherto concealed space will also be chordable and allow quicker progress. Fortunately, the consequences for this kind of mistake are light. The intermediate player is likely to realize an unfortunate reality. Their hands are faster than their mind. By this, I mean once they've learned the basic techniques, there will often be idle time where they aren't taking actions while figuring out their next move. The game salaciously offers them bad habits at this point, habits that can be incredibly difficult to break once made. For instance, if there's a 3 in a mess of hidden tiles, and the player is idly playing, they might chord the 3, see it didn't work, then look to see if there are any mines to mark, then mark 1, then chord the 3 again, and again it doesn't work, then mark another mine, and then chord a 3rd time, finally getting their reward. This is an incredibly easy trap to fall into because it feels like the player is doing a lot. I mean, that was like 5 or 6 actions, but in the end, it only yielded 1 chord. A wiser player would have marked all 3 mines and then done a single one. A much more efficient and thoughtful engagement, but also one that feels less satisfying because your hand paused for a moment in there. It was a hard lesson to learn, but for improving my Minesweeper skills, it was essential. Going slower can be, and often is, faster than going fast. It's counterintuitive, but the intermediate player must step outside the needs of this game and understand that each game they play is an opportunity to make their next game faster by forming good habits, studying the patterns of the game, and picking up the essential skills that allow for efficient movement. Minesweeper is a unique speedrunning game in that time can always be pushed lower by clicking faster. This is not true for a Mario game, because Mario moves at a fixed speed. You can do tricks to get him to move faster or take shortcuts, but he is still tethered to some speed limit. Your mouse is not. Yet, the speed of the mouse is a dangerous tool, and until your mind has mastered the game, your fingers dancing beautifully upon the minefield are a liability, not an asset. Simply put, one right move beats 3 wrong ones every time. Part 3. Expert. On that note, the first thing an expert player must learn is that not every mine needs to be marked. Marking mines is only useful if it allows the player to chord. This is a habit I am still guilty of all the time. Let's say I have a situation where 2 ones are butting up against a wall. Even the novice player knows which is the mine and which isn't. Yet, your fast hands will want to tackle this problem the same way they tackle 90% of the spaces on the grid, by marking the mine and chording the one next to it. But that is 2 moves where 1 would do. Instead, just click the space that you know not to be a mine and move on. It can actually be quite helpful to do some painful runs without using right clicks or chords, just to get used to left clicking your way across the grid. It's dreadfully slow and awkward, but it acts as a teaching moment. You don't need to chord every slice of the board. You can leave some just as they are, mark the few empty spaces, and keep moving. One aspect of my game that made me feel like I upgraded from mediocre to decent is the ability to guess without hesitation. Minesweeper is unfortunately a game of chance. There are game states where the only option to the player is to guess at where the mine is, or isn't. For the speedrunner, there is no point at hemming and hawing at these moments. If it is a 50-50, just take those odds and guess. If you fail, the next game is waiting for you around the corner. As the litany of fear in Dune goes, I have no fear, for fear is the little death that kills me over and over. Without fear, I die but once. Every time you take a moment to pause when you're going to end up guessing anyways is a paper cut on your time. It serves no purpose, so abandon fear and embrace the chaos of death. Minesweeper is always about death. It is a lion waiting to pounce on you. Don't give it the satisfaction of robbing your time as well as your run. There are tricks to learn, of course. If you have a quad in a corner that could contain 2 mines or 1, it is better to guess the far corner, because if it is not a mine, the number revealed will tell you the contents of the other 3 squares. But much of the time, you just need to guess and be okay with guessing. The Minesweeper subreddit is full of people complaining about these 50-50s, but the speedrunner must abandon any such pretensions. Your run is your own, and everyone who plays this game has to guess sometime, so it is better to adjust to the misfortune than to let it rule you. There is another element of luck too, the map you are given. Personally, I will F2 or restart any first click that doesn't have a corner to play off of. I recommend any player do the same, but otherwise, you can't really assume much from your early clicks. There are always the same amount of mines in an expert game of Minesweeper, so if you aren't seeing many mines right now, they are still somewhere on the grid. And likewise, if you are marking a lot of mines at the start and feel like you're in a tight spot, that means a large swath of free real estate waits for you beyond this current hellhole. Once you've gotten to the point that the average run only takes 2 or 3 minutes, there's no point in restarting just because an opening looks mediocre. If you're so good you can go for the world record, then sure, restart until you hit that ideal scenario. But for the rest of us, remember the intermediate advice. Each run is an opportunity to get better for the next. You won't get better by trying to manipulate luck, especially if you've never even beaten expert in under 2 minutes. The fact of the matter is that the expert player must learn to play by feel, and as a result, they are the inverse of the intermediate player. Their mind is faster than their hands. This is a frustrating phase for me to go through because I am so used to clicking right where I mean to, right when I mean to. But the better I hone my eyes and thoughts to the game, the less and less my hands can keep up. The great player uses that free time of thinking to plot ahead. I am now often thinking about my next move while I'm making my current one. And my play reflects this. If you watch me play around, it's like my cursor never stops moving, and that is because I've already queued up my next action. It is the beautiful last step of learning to speedrun Minesweeper, and honestly, where I'm currently at, playing beyond thought, beyond patterns, and beyond the field in front of you, growing to use your instincts to guide you. Because Minesweeper isn't a puzzle to memorize. It's a process to take part in. A process that only has one of two outcomes: merciless defeat or sweet victory.